Welcome to the Galactic Academy. Today is Predator Day. 50 different planets have brought their most dangerous killers to this arena. The room is filled with monsters. Beasts with metal teeth and serpents that spit deadly acid. The air smells like fear and power, but the human student, Leo, sits quietly. He only has a small plastic box covered with a cloth. The other aliens think it's a joke. Leo smiles and says, "On my planet, size is a lie. Meet Luna." Suddenly, the laughter stops as two yellow eyes stare from the dark. The air inside the Galactic Academy of Biology was thick with fear and excitement. Today was no ordinary day. It was the annual Predator Day, the most important event for students from 50 different planets. The arena was built like a fortress, with thick titanium walls and blue energy shields. These shields were there for a reason. The creatures being brought inside today were the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. One by one, the alien students arrived with their pets. Each student wanted to prove that their home planet was the most dangerous. A student named Cax, from a planet with 3 times the gravity of Earth, brought a creature called the Iron Jaw. It was a massive, 6-legged beast covered in thick, rock-like skin. Its teeth were literally made of metal, and every time it growled, the floor of the arena shook. The other students stepped back in terror as the beast snapped its jaws at the energy shield. Next came Sela, a winged alien from the toxic clouds of Venus Prime. She brought a flying serpent. It didn't have legs, but it floated in the air using gas bladders. Its skin was a bright, warning purple, and it constantly dripped green acid from its fangs. The acid sizzled as it hit the floor, melting the metal. The room was filled with a terrifying mix of roars, high-pitched screams, and the metallic smell of blood and chemicals. Every student looked proud of their monster. They felt powerful because their predators were huge and scary. However, in the far corner of the arena, one student sat very quietly. His name was Leo, the only human in the academy. While the other students had giant cages and heavy chains, Leo had a small, plastic travel box. It was the kind of box you would use to carry groceries, not a killing machine. A simple white cloth was draped over it, hiding whatever was inside. Leo didn't look scared. In fact, he looked bored. He was scrolling through his digital pad, ignoring the monsters around him. The other students started to whisper. They looked at Leo's small box and laughed. "Look at the human," Cax shouted, pointing a long finger. "Did you bring a worm? Or maybe a very small insect?" The whole class erupted in laughter. To them, humans were weak. Humans had no claws, no venom, and no natural armor. They expected the human to bring something weak and soft. The professor, a giant insect-like alien named Zark, walked toward Leo. Professor Zark's 4 eyes glowed with curiosity and a bit of annoyance. "Human Leo," the professor clicked his mandibles. "This is a class for apex predators. We are here to study the art of the kill. My sensors show nothing dangerous inside your box. Did you forget the assignment? Did you bring a plant or a toy?" Leo stood up slowly. He looked at the giant iron jaw and the acid serpent. Then, he looked at the professor. He didn't look offended, he looked like he knew a secret that no one else did. "On Earth," Leo said, his voice calm and steady, "we learned a long time ago that size is a lie. You don't need to be big to be at the top of the food chain. You just need to be perfect." The room went silent. Leo reached out and grabbed the edge of the white cloth. "This is Luna," he said. "She is not a monster. She is a masterpiece." As he slowly began to pull the cloth away, the camera of the arena zoomed in on the dark air holes of the plastic box. For a second, everything was still. Then, from the darkness of the box, 2 glowing yellow eyes appeared. They weren't angry eyes, they were cold, focused, and completely fearless. The hunt was about to begin. The laughter in the arena was deafening. When the small, ginger-colored cat stepped out of the box, the alien students couldn't contain themselves. Cax, the owner of the massive iron jaw beast, was laughing so hard his many eyes were tearing up. "Is this a joke, human?" he shouted over the noise. "It's soft. It has fur like a pillow. My beast could swallow that thing in one bite without even chewing." Even the professor, Zark, seemed disappointed. He waved a long, thin arm toward the cat. "Leo, this is a serious biology class. This creature has no armor, no poison, and its teeth are tiny. It is currently licking its own paw." "How is this a predator?" Leo remained perfectly calm. He watched as Luna, the cat, sat down in the middle of the high-security floor. She began to clean her ears, completely ignoring the giant monsters around her. This lack of fear started to make the room feel a bit strange. "Professor," Leo said, his voice cutting through the laughter, "don't judge a book by its cover. On Earth, we have a saying, God made the cat so that man could have the pleasure of petting a tiger. Please, run the Omni scanner. Tell the class what you see." Professor Zark sighed and activated the Academy's most advanced scanning technology. A bright blue light swept over the arena, analyzing every creature's heart rate, muscle density, and brain activity. Usually, the scanner showed a blue, safe, or a yellow, caution, signal. When it hit the iron jaw beast, it turned orange. When it hit the acid serpent, it pulsed orange-red. But when the blue light touched the small ginger cat, something went wrong. The scanner didn't just turn red, it started to flash a bright, violent purple. An alarm began to wail through the speakers. "System error," the professor shouted, hitting the control panel. "The machine is saying this small creature is a level 9 threat. That's impossible. Only planetary-level predators get a level 9 rating." He began to read the data appearing on his screen, and his face turned a pale shade of green. "Wait, look at these reflexes. The scanner says this creature can react in 20 milliseconds. That is faster than our security lasers. Its muscle fibers are packed 3 times tighter than any creature in this room. It doesn't have much weight, but every gram of its body is designed for the kill." The room went dead silent. The laughter died instantly. The students looked at the cat again, but this time, they didn't see a pillow. They saw the data. The professor's voice trembled as he continued reading. "It says here that this cat has retractable claws, hidden daggers that it only shows when it's time to strike. And its ears, they can hear the heartbeat of a mouse from 3 rooms away. But the most terrifying part is its brain. It isn't feeling fear. Every other predator in this room is nervous. The iron jaw is sweating. The serpent is hiding. But this cat, its heart rate is perfectly steady. It isn't scared of us. It's just waiting." Suddenly, the iron jaw beast, the 6-legged monster that had been roaring earlier, did something nobody expected. It began to whine. The massive creature backed away into the corner of its cage, tucking its tail between its legs. It was looking at Luna. Animals have a 6th sense for danger that technology sometimes misses. The iron jaw didn't see a small cat, it saw a creature that was so confident in its killing ability that it didn't even feel the need to growl. Luna stopped licking her paw and looked directly at the iron jaw. She didn't move. She just stared with those unblinking, golden eyes. The tension in the arena was now so thick you could feel it. The students who were standing close to the glass moved back. Leo smiled and whispered, "She thinks your beast is a bit loud, Cax. She doesn't like loud noises." Just then, a small training drone, a fast-moving robot the size of a bird, flew over the arena to record the lesson. It was moving at incredible speed. In the blink of an eye, faster than any alien I could follow, Luna transformed. She didn't run, she launched. She went from a sitting position to 6 feet in the air in a fraction of a second. There was a sharp clack sound. Luna landed perfectly on all 4 feet, her back arched slightly. In her mouth, she held the metal drone. It was crushed. Its wires were sparking, and its lights were fading out. She hadn't just caught it, she had hunted it mid-air without even looking. She dropped the broken robot at Leo's feet and looked up at the professor as if to say, "Is that all?" Professor Zark was shaking. He looked at the crushed metal of the drone and then back at the tiny cat. "Leo," the professor whispered, "you said humans keep these in your houses? You sleep in the same room as these creatures?" Leo nodded and picked Luna up, scratching her under the chin. The cat began to make a low, rumbling sound. "What is that?" Sela asked, her voice shaking. "Is it a death growl? Is it preparing to explode?" Leo laughed. "No, it's called purring. But in this room, you should probably think of it as the sound of a satisfied hunter." The lesson was far from over. The professor looked at the controls and then at the arena. "If she can do that to a drone," Zark said, his voice full of fear, "what would happen if the energy shields went down?" As if the universe heard him, the lights in the arena suddenly flickered. A loud boom echoed through the building. The blue energy shields protecting the students turned off. The predators were no longer behind glass. And the acid serpent was looking very hungry. The darkness was absolute. When the energy shields failed, the main power grid of the academy went with it. In an instant, the brightly lit arena became a black pit. For many of the alien students, this was a death sentence. Their eyes were designed for the bright suns of their home planets, not the pitch-black shadows of a high-security lockdown. You could hear the sound of chairs knocking over and the terrified gasps of 50 different species. "Don't move." Professor Zark's voice echoed in the dark, clicking with pure panic. "The acid serpent has heat-seeking pits. It doesn't need light to find us. If you move, it will track your body heat." A terrifying, wet slithering sound moved across the metal floor. SSSS hiss. The acid serpent was out of its containment zone. The smell of burning metal filled the air as the creature's acidic saliva dripped onto the floor. It was moving toward the center of the room, where the students were huddled together. To the aliens, the darkness was a wall they couldn't see through. They were blind, helpless, and waiting to be hunted. But in the corner, Leo didn't feel like a victim. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small pair of tactical glasses, sliding them over his eyes. Through the green glow of his night vision, he saw the world clearly. More importantly, he saw Luna. The cat was no longer sitting. She was crouched low to the ground, her belly almost touching the floor. Her pupils had grown so large they took up her entire eye, turning them into two black voids that soaked up every tiny bit of stray light. To Luna, the room wasn't dark, it was a playground of shadows. While the giant acid serpent was slow and heavy, moving its thick body toward the group of students, Luna was a ghost. She moved across the arena without making a single sound. Her padded paws were designed by evolution to be silent killers. She wasn't running away from the serpent, she was stalking it. "Leo. Where are you?" Sela whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "The serpent is close. I can hear it breathing." The acid serpent raised its head, its tongue flickering in the air. It had detected the warmth of the students. It opened its mouth, ready to spray a cloud of deadly acid that would melt through flesh and bone. The students prepared for the end. But just as the serpent was about to strike, something strange happened. A small, orange blur flew through the air. It didn't make a sound until the moment of impact. Slash! The acid serpent let out a high-pitched scream of pain. Luna had jumped onto the serpent's back, her claws fully extended like 10 tiny, razor-sharp hooks. She didn't stay long enough for the serpent to bite her. She landed, bounced off a wall, and disappeared back into the darkness before the giant snake could even turn its head. The serpent was confused. It was used to being the hunter, not the prey. It spun around, hissing wildly, spraying acid in the wrong direction. Every time it tried to focus on the students, Luna would strike again from a different angle, a scratch on the tail, a bite near the neck, a hiss in its ear. "What is happening?" Professor Zark cried out, hearing the serpent's screams. "Is there another monster in here?" Leo's voice came out of the dark, calm and cold. "No, Professor. It's just the cat. She's playing with it. On Earth, cats don't just kill. They break their prey's spirit first. They make the hunter realize that they are no longer at the top of the food chain. The serpent was now terrified. It had never faced anything so fast, so small, and so invisible. It began to retreat, slithering back toward its cage, trying to get away from the tiny demon that was haunting it in the dark. Suddenly, the emergency red lights flickered on. The arena was bathed in a dim, bloody glow. The students gasped at what they saw. The acid serpent, the terrifying monster that could melt metal, was curled up in a ball in the corner, shaking. Its thick skin was covered in small, precise claw marks. In the center of the room stood Luna. She wasn't even dirty. She sat down calmly and began to lick her paw again, right where she had left off. She looked at the serpent with a bored expression, as if the fight hadn't even been a challenge. The students looked at Leo, then at the cat, and then at each other. They realized that they had made a huge mistake. They had looked at a small, soft creature and thought it was weak. They forgot that humans didn't choose their pets based on how big they were, but on how efficient they were. The lesson for today, Leo said, picking up Luna and placing her back on his shoulder, is that the most dangerous thing in the room isn't the one making the most noise. It's the one that's watching you and waiting for the lights to go out. But the danger wasn't over yet. The power failure wasn't an accident. A heavy metallic thud sounded at the main bay doors. Something much bigger than a serpent was trying to get in. The heavy thud at the main bay doors echoed through the arena like a drum of doom. The red emergency lights pulsed slowly, making the shadows look like they were dancing. Suddenly, the thick metal doors didn't just open, they were ripped apart by something with incredible strength. From the dark hallway, a new creature stepped in. This wasn't a student's pet. This was a shadow stalker, a biological weapon used by deep space assassins. It was a nightmare of black scales, for long arms with bone blades, and a face that had no eyes, only a giant, sensing snout. It had escaped from the high-security research wing during the power failure. The professor's voice was a terrified whisper. A shadow stalker, its skin absorbs all light and sound. It's a perfect ghost. Even our best sensors can't see it when it's hunting. We are all dead. The alien students froze. They knew about the stalker. It didn't hunt for food, it hunted for the joy of the kill. The creature hissed, a sound that felt like ice sliding down their spines. It began to move, but it didn't just walk, it blurred. It moved so fast and so silently that it seemed to disappear and reappear 10 feet closer every second. It was heading straight for the group of helpless students. Leo didn't run. He didn't hide. He looked down at Luna. The cat wasn't cleaning her paw anymore. Her body was low, her tail was twitching with rhythmic precision, and her whiskers were fanned out wide. "Professor," Leo said, his voice loud and clear in the silent room. "Your technology uses light and heat. But evolution on Earth created something different. My cat doesn't need to see the monster to know exactly where it is." Leo reached down and unzipped his jacket. "Luna, it's a bad bird. Go get it." The shadow stalker lunged, its bone blades raised to strike the first student. In that exact moment, Luna moved. She didn't jump at the monster, she jumped ahead of it. To the aliens, it looked like the cat was attacking thin air. But a second later, a loud crack echoed. Luna's claws had found the stalker's sensitive snout. The invisible monster let out a roar of pain, its cloaking skin flickering and turning gray as it lost focus. Luna landed, spun around, and hissed with a sound so fierce it sounded like a dragon. She was using her whiskers to feel the vibrations in the air and her ears to track the monster's heartbeat. The stalker was angry now. It swung its massive bone blades at the small orange cat. But Luna was like water. She was too small to hit and too fast to catch. She ran up the monster's back, using her claws like mountain climbing spikes. She wasn't just attacking, she was targeting the monster's weak spots, the soft joints and the sensing organs. Every time the stalker tried to grab her, she was already gone, jumping off a wall or sliding under its legs. The perfect ghost was being humiliated by a 6-pound ball of fur. The fight was a blur of orange and black. The students watched in total shock. They saw their monsters hiding in cages, while the human's tiny pet was fighting a war beast. Finally, Luna saw her opening. As the stalker lunged forward, Luna leaped and latched onto its throat. She didn't let go. The stalker thrashed around, hitting the walls and the floor, but Luna held on with the famous death grip of Earth's feline hunters. After a few more seconds of struggle, the giant monster collapsed to the floor, defeated by exhaustion and 1,000 tiny cuts. The lights in the arena suddenly hissed back to life. The main power was restored. The blue energy shields hummed as they turned back on, locking the fallen stalker safely away. The arena was bright again. Luna let go of the monster's neck, hopped down, and walked back to Leo. She sat at his feet and began to purr, her fur slightly messy but her eyes as calm as a summer day. Leo picked her up and tucked her back into his jacket, where she poked her head out, looking completely bored with the whole situation. The professor walked over, his legs shaking. He looked at the fallen shadow stalker and then at the small cat. "I have studied biology for 300 years, Zark said, his voice full of respect. "I have seen the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy. But I have never seen a bond like this. You didn't give her a command. You didn't use a remote control. How did she know what to do?" Leo smiled and looked at his classmates, who were now looking at him with a mix of fear and wonder. "That's the secret of Earth," Leo explained. "We didn't build our predators in a lab. We didn't force them to obey us with chains. We shared our homes and our food with them for thousands of years. We became a team. When you fight a human, you aren't just fighting one species. You are fighting the entire history of Earth's hunters." As Leo walked out of the arena, the students moved aside to give him plenty of space. They finally understood the lesson: never laugh at a human's pet, because on Earth, even the smallest friend is a nightmare for its enemies.